Hey Jeff, thanks for joining me.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, we are talking about the elder care sector being attractive again. It really fell into kind of some disrepute and disinterest during the COVID outbreak. Kind of figure that a illness that was especially worrisome to seniors and senior housing doesn't do so well. But now we're seeing signs of new life in the sector. By 2030, the U.S. population 80 years and older is expected to increase by more than 4 million people to 18.8 million. And that age 80 is generally where people start looking at a elder care or a senior facility. But many of them are probably going to be on a wait list because we just haven't seen much building since the COVID pandemic. The sector is expected to move from its current glut to a shortage of space in the next 5 years. More than 560,000 new units are needed to meet all the demand by 2030 projections, but only 191,000 are on tap at current development rates. Um, Developers, on the other hand, they're unconvinced, so they're still not doing a lot of building. What building they are doing is really focused on the wealthiest seniors, where they're looking at facilities that really have really kind of luxury, a lot of anemones and whatnot. That's the group that's seen as most capable to pay for this, and that's where the developers see, the best return on square footage. But some of your thoughts as we start seeing this sector showing signs of life again after COVID.
I think it's like everything. It's not really, everybody, I guess, really took flight out of that side of the industry primarily because of COVID. And in reality, it was, trying to hedge, lawsuits or anything else that could have come from, some of their clients that they were, or their family of the clients. I think that's just something that happened without kind of, any real thought. I think in reality, this is going to be something where, the actual, this segment of real estate, this side of healthcare is probably going to modify just like everything else, just like office, everything did after the pandemic, where, you figure out ways to manage things like pandemics. Look, the reality is it's an underserved side of the population, especially in the growth side. And, I think there's going to be people that are going to jump to it because they're going to see opportunity.
Yeah, and I would point out like some reality here is that elder care got unfairly mixed in with subacute. And there really, during COVID, there really wasn't an issue with a lot of deaths or a lot of mismanagement around COVID. Where there was an
Yeah,
issue with subacute facilities, where they have people coming in for partial stays, maybe they had some surgery, something happened to them, they're coming in and out, and they're mixed. That was the area where you actually saw issues with COVID and infections and things spreading. The elder care facilities, you definitely saw issues with them in
yeah, of
terms of people not wanting to be there or people deciding to just stay with their families or whatnot. But you actually, it was actually more psychological than reality. Now, the
course.
business reality is there. But I agree with you. This is an interesting space that there does seem to be some opportunity on the development end. Everybody's aware of the high end, and that's where we're going to see a lot of the activity also on the acquisition side of things on the high end. If you're a smart operator, though, there's probably going to be some opportunities, other segments that aren't being so well served, but that's where you're going to have to really, really do your homework. But that might be where some of the bigger opportunities are, is the underserved that isn't at the high end.
Yeah, I mean, look, the other side of this is there's segments within this segment. There's ILF, there's ALF. And really, this is a side of real estate that is not too dissimilar than hospitality, and primarily because while you're catering to a specific part of the population, you're really creating housing for them, and you're creating all of the ancillary things that they need. I tend to call ALFs, I said hospitality. Maybe I should have said what it actually ends up being. It's more like a cruise line. You've got operators who have to provide food, and I mean good food. You've got to have, things for people to do, games and etc. It's not like sure, you can just build a place and you can make it where there's just rooms and TVs, but for a lot of these people, it's independent, or it's a combined independent living, which is ILF, and the assisted living, which is, people that were once living together and now they're having to live somewhere else, and one's independent, one needs assistance all the time. And you've got to be able to create a life for both of them.
Yeah, I would add too that if you're investing in this sector, this really is kind of a specialized sector. You can't
Very
just,
much.
throw up a building like you would other buildings. The plans, and also most importantly, the operations around it. You really need people who understand the space,
Yeah.
understand how to work in the space, have a track record of success. So there is opportunity here, but it's not a gold rush where anybody can just grab a pickaxe and jump on the hillside. You really want to be working or partnering with players with some success and knowledge in this space, um, because it is a specialized service, and especially when you start getting into things like memory care and whatnot, you're looking at a product that's fundamentally different than just a standard multifamily offering.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the other side of this people just have never really considered is that in some way, shape, or form, somebody in your family has been touched by having some sort of long-term care that you've got to consider because you can't always be there 100% of the time. So it is a necessary part of the real estate industry that takes a lot of time and effort to realize.
Well, I think a good note to close in is that this space got very, very hot. And sometimes the best times to invest in a space is after they've gone hot, after they've had a pullback, and you can get some deals and you can get some opportunities. So I think this is not a bad time to look at this space now that it's no longer so hot. But you still got the baby boomer generation retiring. But again, do your homework and make sure your partner and are involved with some operators that really have some success and knowledge in this space because it is a specialty.
Yeah, agreed. Thanks, Steve.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jeff. If you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up, drop some comments on us, and subscribe if you haven't, and visit our website, selectfincap.com. Get on our free newsletter and opportunity to look at exclusive commercial real estate investment opportunities. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Steve.